So in this video, we're going to continue our discussion on the jazz standard Emily. And I've made a couple of other videos on this one, but you're fine to be here. We're going to discuss two concepts about Emily, and that is the concept of tritone substitution. And the other one is what is an altered chord and what do you play over top of it? Because you're going to see that in a lot of jazz standards, you're going to see, like in this case, B7 altered. So we're working on the tune Emily by Johnny Mandel, and I'm going to play you a piano solo, just solo piano, a couple choruses, and then we're going to come back and discuss those two concepts as it pertains to what I'm doing in this song. You're going to want to use this because a lot of people try to learn too many things at once. And I think if you just tackle one or two concepts at a time, that can serve you well. And you're going to find out exactly what I do for these two concepts when we get done the piano solo, and we're going to discuss it in detail. All right, let's get started. Let me play it for you and we'll come back and talk about it. Okay, so that's Emily. I hope you enjoyed that, mistakes and all, if you can find them. I'm sure there was a few in there, but it's one take and we don't have to be perfect. If it were a recording session or a studio or whatever, I might spend some time on it and do something else, but hey, it's good enough. It's my universe. This is my palette. I have 88 little planets and they're grouped in like solar systems. This is one solar system. This is another solar system, and I can basically make any painting I want out of it. Just, you know, Bob Ross language. What I want to talk about here is specifically in this section where it goes from the E minor 7th okay? And I've circled a couple of things here. The first one, or I put an arrow on this one. This is the F sharp 7, sharp 9, sharp 5 chord, and the B7 altered chord. Now, I'm pretty sure when you see an E minor 7th chord, you know what to do with that. If you see a B minor 7th chord, you know what to do with that, but not so much with these other more challenging chords. So let me give you some shortcuts. This is really going to be helpful when you see things like an F sharp 7, sharp 9, sharp 5 chord. Okay. So when you see things like that, the first thing your brain goes is, what the heck is that and how do I play it? And the second thing is, oh my God, it's got a bunch of sharps in it. I don't know how to do that. I'm used to playing in C or F or B flat or whatever. But there's some shortcuts here that you can use. So the first thing you have to realize about any dominant 7th chord in strange keys is that it shares the same tritone with one other chord, or actually two other chords, but in most cases, the dominant 7th chord. So if you've got an E, which is the 7th, and then an A sharp, which is the 3rd, that's your tritone. If you don't know what a tritone is, it's basically an augmented 4th. And then you think about sharp 9, well, that's here, because this is the natural 9. So that's a sharp 9. And then up here is the sharp 5, because this is natural 5. It's a sharp 5. So that's your chord. Well, the interesting thing about this is that's the exact same voicing that we use for a C7 chord. A C7 with a 9th and a 13th. This is the tritone for C7, E and B flat. And this is the 13th and the 9th. So instead of the sharp 9, sharp 5 of F sharp 7, it's 9 and 13 of C7. Same chord, just change the bass note. Sounds cool there, sounds cool here. Same thing. So that means that you can throw all the sharps out of your head in the key of B of the moment and think about the key of F for the moment. And if you play F sharp over that, that's fine too, that'll work. Sounds even a little more outside, but you plunk down the root. Okay, so, but instead of having to think about that, if it's going by quickly like it does in Emily, playing a C7 chord is a good idea. Okay, second concept, B7 altered. So first of all, let's put down a B7 chord. So you got B, D sharp, F sharp, and A. Now remember, people are thinking, well, I really want to learn the whole tune, but you can't learn the whole tune unless you learn it chord by chord, and you can now take these chords and apply them to other tunes, which is kind of the whole point of learning jazz. People try to learn too many things at once. Do one thing at a time. Get that under your fingers. Get the muscle memory and the hearing accustomed to it, and then move on to new things. But in this case, this is really invaluable because you see, you know, B7 altered chords or G7 altered chords all over the place. People are like, what is altered? And that basically means that if you go up in thirds from the scale, it's actually E. You can't use E because it creates a flat 9 with third. So you do sharp 11, right? So you're basically taking all of those notes and altering them somehow because they're from the scale. So if you're going, you know, alter every one of these notes by a half step. So what you end up with is a C major 7 chord. So it's literally like C major 7 over B7. And you don't need the B because that's the root of the chord. So And that's a B7 altered. I'm pretty sure there's a billion ways to think about it, but that's probably the simplest way. And if people are saying, well, that's not right, it's got like the 11th of the chord, so that's not really altered, but it is altered because you can't use the 11th in the original scale anyway, so, whatever. I mean, everybody has their own way of doing things, but this is one way to think about it that you can count on. You can actually play a C scale over top of it. So you see a B7 altered chord, and it's like, oh, I can play a C major chord and a scale. So that's, super helpful when you're talking about a complex tune like Emily, where it gets to that B7 altered chord, second line. Wow, I just played C major 7 chord over B7. And the notes are going by so quickly, most people's ears can't even hear that. But that's how to kind of get around tough changes. And so I hope that was helpful for you. I think it's super helpful, those two concepts. You've got tritone substitutions and you've got how to deal with altered chords. If you have any more questions about chord changes you want to handle, post it below and I'll make a video about that too. Thanks for your time.